Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining. So let's talk about this Venus retrograde. So about for the next 3 or 4 months, this is going to be really highlighted. This area of this area of your chart, of each of our charts, but it'll be this particular area of your life. I will be doing per sign for this video, but stick around so that you kind of understand how to navigate through this. Here we go. So I'm going to go very slow, not too slow where it gets boring, but slower. Okay. What I'd like to know is, and I want you to be aware of, is what is the theme that goes on in this area of your life, right? So we're talking about the Pisces area right here from like 24 and to the Aries area, which is 10, right? It's still got Chiron in here, so it's got the influence of Chiron, right? But this area, this 20, I said 24, but I'd say 20. This 20 degrees to this 10 degrees. So this 20 degrees of Pisces, when I'm looking at the charts, right? As an astrologer, as a medium, when I'm looking at the chart, this 20 degrees in Pisces all the way to even 20 degrees in Chiron, but especially the 10 degrees where we see Venus here, this area is trying to be transformed in each one of us, right? So, example, I have my first house. I have Pisces in my first house, right? And I have Aries in my first house, right? But I am a Aquarius rising, right? So I have Aquarius here, I have Pisces inverted here, and then I have Aries at the end of here. Okay. So this area of my life from 20 degrees to like the 20 degrees over here is trying to be transformed. For me, that's the first and second house. Okay. For others of you, it may be the third and fourth, the 11th and 12th, the 9th and 10th, right? But we are looking at two different signs, but it's like they can't be separated right now. What I'm going to be talking about is like, I don't see them as separate. I see them as, because Pisces is the ending of a cycle. And Aries is the beginning. Aries is the baby. Aries is the start of, everybody knows that, right? Even if you just do sun signs, everybody knows that Aries is the beginning. Aries is the baby. Aries is the young child of the zodiac, right? Because she's the start. She's the one that gets things going, right? And Pisces is the ending. Pisces is the healing. Pisces is the completion, right? Well, there is something about our lives, especially with these planets here, something about our lives that is trying to transform, to have us incorporate. So trying to transform to a different, the way that I can say it is trying to heal parts of you and align parts of you with the identity that you want to incorporate here in your life this time. That makes sense? In this phase of your life, there are parts of you that need healing, need aligning, need completion, need letting go of, need manifesting so that you can grow and identify as the soul that has grown for you. Does that make sense? Like, it's not that you never were that part of you. It's that you incorporated through some healing and understanding that you're not where you used to be. You're a different person. I've said this in another video where you're manifesting. When you're manifesting and you see yourself as the person with all the abundance and you see that dream, that is you, but that's not the you now. That's the you that has been through the you now and has incorporated the you now into that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing transformation trying to happen through all of us. of how we're going to identify, right? But there's letting go, there's healing, there's stuff going on. So I'd like for you to look at your chart and see when, where is that? Where is that for you, right? Okay, so back to the Venus retrograde. This Venus retrograde is tied to a lot of things. That's why I'm being so slow and complicated about it, because it's tied to this completion and this understanding of Saturn. It's tied to this destiny of the North Node. It's tied to this communication, this way of being, this processing of Mercury. And it's tied to this creativity, this healing, this illusion of Neptune, right? This ending and letting go of and trusting yourself, right? So that's why I'm like trying to go really slow. Okay. But what I'd like for you to do is look at your chart and see which two we're talking about. Are we talking about the fifth? Hold on a second. That's what's going on. I just figured out what was going on with my cursor. Are we talking about the fifth and sixth? Are we, if we're talking about, so let me give you an example. Like I said, first and second, right? How am I, or those of you that are going to have this in your first and second, like me, how am I identifying and understanding and letting go of old belief systems, letting go of the way that I thought I was, letting go of who I thought I was and needed to be in this world. But now I'm like understanding, completing, and moving into, I am worthy. This is my self-worth. I am better than I thought I was. I do enough. I realize I overcompensated because as a child, I never got the attention, right? And I'm moving into this area where I am valuable. I understand my value. I also want to have those dreams of the way that I make my money, the things that I consider valuable. I may have thought in this retrograde 12 years ago, because this is Neptune with Saturn, right? So Neptune's, that's a bigger video that I'm going to do. Neptune is ending here. I'm being personal so that you kind of get it, right? Maybe I thought that money was the only thing that was going to make me stable, right? And maybe as I come over here, I understand I do value money, but that's not the most valuable thing for me. What I've learned is that relationships are the most valuable thing for me. And this is, everybody's different, right? This is just me kind of putting context to this, right? And maybe that's what I'm learning to identify, that I don't have to have money as the focus to be able to make me stable through all my trials and tribulations and traumas and all of that. Maybe I realize that that's not what makes me stable. It is not an area that I need to focus on, money, right? I'm just giving you examples. Maybe it's the relationships. That's what I've come to understand, is that relationships are what makes me stable. Relationships are what I value more, right? That's just an example, right? But what if it's in your second and third? Maybe you understood your value, maybe you understood that, but now you're trying to incorporate that into, maybe you're wanting to understand it more. Maybe you're wanting to actually voice your opinions with what you value. Maybe, because this is the third house, communication, journaling, your neighbors, your everyday stuff, right? Maybe it's that I wasn't getting it. This is if you had a second house and into third house. Maybe I wasn't getting it, but maybe now I'm processing it, right? What if it's the third and fourth, right? Maybe it's that I've processed it, I've researched it, I understood what my life is about, who I am, what I want to be. Remember? Because it's Aries, it's identity. So I'm saying if Pisces and Aries are, so Pisces would be third, Aries would be fourth. I'm taking what I know about myself. I have healed those things. I have done the research. I have tried to understand, because it's the third house. I have understood better. I have seen a different perspective. That's because third house is Gemini, right? Different perspective. And now I am ready to incorporate that into my fourth house, which is the most inner, I almost wanted to say sanctity, But the most inner sacred part of me, no, remember, we're pretending Pisces is here and Aries is here, okay? And maybe now that you understood about how you want your daily life, about how you've processed this whole thing, maybe now you're ready to process this and put it into your most inner being with understanding who I am, and that I just because I am different than my DNA, than my family, it does, or just because we have some similarities doesn't mean that's what defines me. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to give you examples, right? Same thing if we pretend Pisces is here and Aries is here. This is about the understanding, letting go, manifesting, and then bringing into your identity, right? Same thing. It goes all the way around. Okay. So I won't do each and every one of them, but it kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to be, what's going to be highlighted in this Venus retrograde. And I know that's pretty deep, but it's like, it's a very strange one, but it is because we are healing, incorporating, we are healing, letting go, understanding. We have destiny here, we have Saturn here that we have been dealing with, we have Mercury here, and we have Neptune here, right? And we are trying, we spent almost 18 months trying to identify what we wanted, trying to identify who we were, trying to remember when this North Node and South Node were going through here, right? When they were going through here, this was all about identity. You can go back and watch my videos from a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, okay? Maybe I'll put it up here. But now that the North Node is in here, now comes all of the actual planets to incorporate our identity that we have been dreaming, that we have been working on, that we have, then that's Saturn. Are you taking initiative? Are you being responsible? And he has been here in Pisces teaching us this, right? When there is, in order to be that person that you see in your abundance with your dream life, like I said, it's not you, it's you, but it's not the you that's you now, right? In order for that to happen, there is some healing, letting go that needs to go on. Does that make better sense? I'm so sorry I'm being so descriptive, but I think it's really important that we understand, because these transits are so important right now. They're so important. Okay, let's get back to, I'll try not to make this so complicated. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's get back to the Venus retrograde, right? So again, this is going to be an area, a theme that is highlighted for the next 3 or 4 months. So how does that transit look, right? Because this is giving you clues to what is being activated, and there is going to be focus and growth here. Now, with Neptune, right? With Neptune, with Venus and Neptune being in this area, Neptune is saying to you, to Venus, and because it's going to come back around, right? So Venus is retrograde at 10 degrees, but Venus is going to come back. It is going to talk closely, speak, have a conversation with Neptune. It is going to have a conversation. And what's interesting is that Mercury is coming this way to retrograde with Venus, right? So they're going to have a conversation. There's going to be some redoing. There's some checking in. It's going to have a conversation with Saturn, because Saturn's coming up here, right? So there are, let's look at the understand a little bit more about Pisces and what Saturn and Neptune are doing, because I think they're important in this and they're connecting. So Saturn is important in this Venus retrograde because it's connecting. Saturn is what brings down, right? What helps you materialize those things that you see, right? I've said this before. Saturn is it Saturn is disguising himself as reality, and Neptune is disguising itself as spirituality, right? So, or I'm sorry, as fantasy, right? So Saturn is disguising himself as reality when really this is not the reality, right? He's an illusion of the reality. That's what Saturn is. Saturn brings down the things that are real into a physical manifestation, right? And he does that through hard work, through our action, through teaching us these things. Are we being responsible? All that stuff. Neptune is basically doing the opposite. Are we connecting? Are we understanding? Are we releasing? Are we letting go? Right? So the questions as Venus is coming back around here with Mercury. So as Venus and Mercury, because Mercury is going to retrograde here, I think at 15 degrees. But he moves faster, right? And as they come together, and as they're retrograding together, there is some rethinking, redoing, renegotiating, all the re's, right? So when Venus comes here and talks to Neptune, the questions that Venus is asking, the questions that Venus is asking with Neptune, right? It's because we're releasing in Pisces, right? So it's giving us clues. But the question that Neptune will be asking, Venus and Neptune will both be asking, are what needs restriction, right? What needs to be let go of? Sorry. With Neptune, it's what needs less restriction. What are you too strict about? What are you limiting yourself about, right? In this area of life, what needs to be let go of? What needs healing? What needs aligning? What do you need more? What do you need more of in this area of life that you need spirit, that you need magic, that you need belief? What needs more of that in your life? What in this area, what needs more spirit? What needs more magic? What needs more belief? What needs to be manifested? And when Saturn comes in here, because when Neptune comes in here, that's what he's asking. What needs, as he's coming closer, the conversation that they're having. But when Venus and Saturn have that conversation, right? What needs... He's going to be asking, what needs structure? What needs karma? What needs focus? What needs restriction so that you don't ignore the red flags? What needs delays and limitations so that you're sure to check in with your life, with your path, and make the right choices for you? What needs to be stable and solid that you will never doubt yourself again? Those are the big lessons and the changes that are happening with these transits, right? It is important. Neptune is going to finish a 12-year cycle. And then here comes Saturn, who's going to finish a 3.5-year cycle, or almost 4. Yeah, 3.5 year cycle. Right? We are ending so that we can identify. And these are the questions before Venus. Remember, Venus is about nurturing yourself. Venus asks you the question all the time. Have you nurtured yourself? Have you loved yourself? Did you give yourself the compassion? Did you put down your boundaries? Did you focus on the red flags and have some love for yourself, right? Those are the questions Venus asks. And as she goes retrograde and has a discussion with all of these, those are the questions she's going to be asking along with Neptune and along with Saturn, right? So what happens is she's starting now, because she's already retrograde. There is this area of your life. If you have a planet here, right? Like for me, I have the North Node at 27 degrees. It's my nodal return, right? That's me personally, right? That's the only thing I have in this Pisces house for me is that nodal return, is that node. I was born with North Node at 27 degrees, right? And I discussed this before on the new moon. That's exactly when it hit my nodal return. Okay. So for me, it's like my destiny, right? It's my fate that's coming alive, that's getting the chance, that's giving me the shot as Neptune comes through, as Mercury comes through, as Saturn comes through, right? Because if you've seen me before, then you know that I feel like the way that I describe the North Node is a portal. It's a portal for us to step through to our new timeline or to your new vibration or to your new frequency, right? And as the portal moves this way, each of the planets go through to help you manifest these things, right? So for this will be happening for everyone. Let me get the dates right, because I start channeling and then I forget. So it started at 10 degrees and 50 minutes in Aries. And then on April 12th, and I can move over to April 12th, that's when it stations retrograde, right? So let me go April 12th real quick. Sorry. Okay. So on April 12th, do you see Venus? Venus is right here. On April 12th, Venus will be right here at 24 degrees, okay? And it's going to station direct. This is the day that it stations direct, April 12th, right? Some people it's going to be April 13th, some people it's going to be April 12th, okay? But on April 12th, it's going to station direct, which means it's going to go back over this. So even though it stations direct, always remember, this is what I was saying before. Pay attention, because you're still, now that you have thought about it, redone, readjusted, renegotiated, right? Your re's in your retrogrades. Now that you've thought about it, as it spoke to each one of these as it went by, and I told you the questions it was going to be asking, that you should be asking yourself, and Venus is going to be asking Neptune, Venus is going to be asking Mercury, Venus is going to be asking the North Node, Venus is going to be asking Saturn, right? And then on this day, on the 12th, which it does it a little later, on the 12th, it's got to come back around. And now that you've renegotiated, redone, rethought, readjusted, right? Now's the time to move back over and incorporate those things, right? So an example would be, I thought about how I have grown and don't need this part, and why do I do that thing anymore, and why do I even have that situation going on, and blah 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 blah, and you thought about it, right? And then Venus comes back around, and that's when you let go. That's when the healing happens. That's now, because maybe Saturn tests you and brings that person back around, or brings that situation back around, or brings that, or karma comes in, right? That's Saturn in Pisces. All this is going on. So with Venus hitting those points again, it's about you incorporating those things that you have decided in Venus retrograde, with having these discussions to incorporate, because then we move over here. But what happens is, on this day, on April 12th, Neptune goes into Aries. So there is healing, there is completion, there is letting go, right? This is the beginning. But as the beginning happens, there is some ending. That makes sense? But we're still, this is the part, until May, Venus is going to be going back over these points, right? And really helping you solidify, because you can say, oh, when that person talks to me, I'm going to stand in my truth, and I'm not going to let them talk to me that way, or I'm going to finally say, no more, you can't treat me this way. But then Venus is going to come over here at that point and test you and say, okay, well, she's not really testing you. That's more Saturn. She's more saying, I want you to um, have more experience in this. So that person may come back around. That situation may come back around, right? As Venus moves back over this way with each of these points, you're going to have, it's not testing. I know some people would see it as testing. I see it as an opportunity to do what you said. Okay. It's making you responsible for doing what you said you're going to do, right? It's the opportunity to show the universe, because remember, we do not talk to the universe. The language of the universe is not speaking. It's not language. It's not ABCs. It's not words, right? The language that the universe understands and this dimension understands is action. It's the feeling, right? So it understands feeling, right? But it understands action too. It more understands action, right? So it's almost like when Venus comes around, she's asking the question, okay, now that you've made your decision about how you want to be and do and how you want to have your life, let's tweak it. Let's give you some more experience in it. So that thing, that person, that situation, depending on which houses these are for you, will come back around, and they will continue as she hits Saturn, as she goes through the North Node, right, to Mercury. And then she'll be coming back over here. And this is all about completing and healing and aligning, right? And those are the questions that I'd said before. But then we have where she will come over here and speak to Neptune. And there's some real endings and compassion for yourself and love for yourself that's going to be happening as she moves here. Well, we will be dealing with that until May. Okay, so she has till May that she's going to get all the way over here. And during that time in May, it is when Saturn kind of moves close too, right? So let me show you that date, sorry, so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to be dealing with that till May 15th. Okay, so even though she turned direct in April, we still have to deal with all of this stuff, the completions, the manifestation, because then by this time, May 15th, look at this. Saturn's gone through the portal. Manifestations are coming through, and they're going to have Venus there conjunct, doing her stuff, making sure you're checking in with yourself. What needs to be restricted? What needs to be let go? Because you're moving into this area. This is Big Daddy Saturn. This is when he starts, like, he's already starting to gift, but especially after this North Node, we're going to already have the solar eclipse. This is some things coming through, but you have to do this part first for these manifestations to come through. You have to check in with yourself. We're going to have Neptune at 1 degree, and then we're going to have Venus at 10 degrees. And that's when you're completing the whole ending and beginning to incorporate your identity in this new identity, but it's not new. You guys know that, right? In this area of your life. This area of your life needed to grow. This area of your life needed transformation. And right now is the time that we are doing it. Like I say, like I've always said, these planets are not here to be against you. The universe is not against you. These planets are not against you. The other side is not against you. Mother Earth is not against you. They're giving you the space, the time to check in with yourself, to really make it go forward the way you want, to unfold, to grow your soul the way that you wanted to do it. That's what this time is about. We have been growing other parts of us all the time, right? But this specific part, apparently for all of humanity, as well as us personally, needed or wanted to grow. We didn't need, we wanted to grow this area. We wanted to transform this area of our lives, of the lives of our community, of the lives of our groups, of the lives, excuse me, of the lives of our society, of the lives of our globe, of the lives of humanity. Okay. We wanted to transform. We needed to end, let go, heal, align some things, and incorporate our truth, our integrity, our identity, so that our dreams can move forward and you become more of the person that you can see yourself as. Does that make sense to everyone? And that, my darlings, is what's happening in the Venus retrograde. Now, I will go through each sign really quickly and tell you where your houses are going to be and give you sort of a little bit of what's going on, okay, in each of those houses. So, you guys already heard me talk about if your first house was Pisces and your second house was Aries, right? But I can go over that again really quickly. So if your first house is Pisces and your second house is Aries, there is something about you needing to resolve, let go. There's things that have been limiting with Saturn in there, right? Let me move this back. Sorry, let me move this back to when it turns retrograde. Okay, hold on, sorry. Or back to today. Okay, so if your first house was Pisces, second house is Aries, there is some letting go. There is some limiting beliefs, limiting understanding about yourself, limiting. There is some karma that you had been dealing with or are going to be dealing with. There are some restrictions. There are some healing and alignment and understanding so that you can incorporate this Venus. And this Venus retrograde is going to have you asking those questions. Okay. Am I loving myself? What type of person do I want to be? So if it's in your second house, it's what's my value? What do I value? What do I value? What can make me stable? What can make me comfortable? Because it's the second house, right? So what can make me stable? What can make me comfortable? What do I value? How do I want to make my money, right? But it has to do with ending something in here in your first house, Pisces, right? I got to let go of some of my belief systems. I got to let go of some of the relationships, opposite South Node, right? Am I limiting my dream? Am I not taking action and responsibility for my dream and how I see myself? That's all for a second, okay? Now, if you're Aries, then Pisces is your 12th, and it's moving into your first. Okay. So Pisces, so this retrograde is in your first. Pisces, this retrograde is in your second. Okay. Just want to be clear about that. Okay. This retrograde is going to, because it's in both. Remember, it's going to both signs. That's why it's really important. So don't get confused here. Pisces, it's starting in your second. It is moving back to your first. Okay. Aries, it's starting in your first. It's moving back to your 12th. Okay. So there is some faith. There's some letting go. I can see Aries. It's like, it's going to be starting here about the way that you do value and what do I value and do I value myself enough? And am I doing what I really want to do? That's your first house. How am I identifying? Have I been true to myself? Venus is coming here and it's going to be asking these questions, right? And then as it moves into your 12th house, there is some connecting that you are going to have to do. There is some, like, with yourself, not with everybody else, not with getting somebody's opinion for you to like take their direction and not your own. This is where you connect. This is your fate. Something's going to come in. Fate is going to show itself there. Then you're going to be able to understand, pay attention to your dreams as Venus moves into here. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention when you're meditating. Pay attention to the synchronicities. Okay. Understand that there are bigger things at play here, like your higher self and your destiny. Okay. Now, if you're Taurus, this is going to happen in your 11th and 12th, right? So again, you may be right now having the dreams. You may be sort of connected and understanding, like, oh, I thought it was this way, but it's not. It's really this way. And yeah, I am okay with what I've been doing. And no, I think I do find more value in this instead of that, right? That's your 12th house. It's kind of coming through synchronicities, through your dreams, through your connection. Do you meditate through that? When you're working out, do you get signs? Like all of a sudden something pops into your head. When you're cooking, do you get signs? Like whatever, connect to that because that's showing you. And those are the questions that are trying to be answered in your subconscious, right? But it has to do, it's going to go back to this 11th house, right? So there is some letting go in this 11th house of groups, of networking. Maybe you need to let go of the way that you're investing your money, or the way that you see the group that you have, or the way that you haven't had any groups, or the way that you maybe need to learn to trust yourself in groups, right? There's some closure and letting go of that. Okay. Gemini, this is going to be in your 11th and 10th. So your 10th, your reputation has been really highlighted, really focused, really got a lot of energy in there, right? But there is some healing, there is some letting go. There is those questions that I said to ask. What needs to be unrestricted? What needs less restriction? What needs magic? What needs belief? What needs understanding? What needs that? Right? That's your 10th house. And that's this area of closure. What needs to be let go of? What needs healing? What needs to be manifested, right? As Saturn also, what needs structure? What needs focus? What needs restriction, right? What needs to be delayed so that you can look at the situation and really hone in instead of doing the surface stuff, right? Like, oh, I did pay attention to that. That's that. No, something needs more focus, so it could be restricted so that you can focus on it, right? But it starts in your 11th. It starts with your groups. There's something about the groups and the way and the networking and the way that you are so open with people that maybe needs to be restricted in the way that because you don't have ill intention or malintentions that you just sort of let everybody know, and then you get struck down by people betraying you, right? Like there's this thing going on within these two houses, okay? There's going to be some letting go and understanding and healing so that you can incorporate more of how you want to be in this world with, yeah, how you want to be seen in this world, how you want to be looked at, right? All right. And then Cancer. So this is let's say 12, 11, 10. I told you I start channeling and then I forget to like even counting. So 12, 11, 10, 9. So this is 10th and 9th. So it starts in your 10th. There's something that needs to be relooked at, redone, renegotiated, right? That's in your 10th house. So your 10th house is your reputation. Your 10th house is the way that you're seen in the world. Your 10th house, yes, is your career, right? But it's more about you being seen in your reputation and how people see you, right? But it has to do with it's going to, so that needs to be looked at again, and then it's going to move into this house to be looked at again, and this is your 9th house. What do I believe? What have I looked into? Like, what have I spent my time in? Why do I believe the way that I believe? Yeah, it's like wisdom, right? So, do I really believe that? Or is that I believe that because that's what I was told to believe, and that's just kind of what I've been led to believe, right? Or am I going to ask those questions, right? In the ninth house, right? And make sure 12, 11, 10, 9. Yes. So, but it's going to be let go of, healed, understood, so that as these move through, and destiny's here too. So as these move through, you're going to incorporate that more into your identity of how you're seen in the world. Okay. And then, Leo, Leo, this is, your ninth and eighth. Okay. So your ninth, it starts in your ninth. So there is something that needs to be reworked, understood, renegotiated, reassured, redone, all the re's, right? There's something that this Venus is asking about, how or what you believe, or how, because this has to do with, far distance travel or foreign lands, right? So this could be about renegotiating something there, re-looking at something there. But as it moves into your eighth house, this is about the partnership. These are about the contracts, right? There's been a lot of energy here in these contracts. I mean, in this eighth house for you. So it's contracts. It's the way that you partner up with somebody. Like seventh house is your partnership, right? It's your relationships. But the eighth house is where you make the contracts to further those partnerships and relationships, right? This could have to do also with, like sudden wealth, because through inheritance. I couldn't think of the word. Through inheritances, right? So there is something here that's going to be reworked, re-understood, renegotiated, right? And go back and look at the first part where I talk about each of these planets and what questions they're asking and the things that can happen. Okay. So, Virgo, this is your seventh and eighth, right? So there is something about renegotiating, or looking at the contracts again, looking at your partnerships again, looking at your investments again. It's not investments, it's your inheritances again. You may need to look at your inheritance and rebalance those and figure out that stuff, right? Because part of that, and think about it, if somebody inherits a house, land, money, whatever, that changes your identity, right? You're not who you used to be, right? And so maybe there's some reworking here that needs to happen, but there is some letting go here in relationships, in who you were and how you do relationships. This has been activated. So there's something. We've got destiny here. So some of you can have some shocking surprise of something else coming in, and then getting a bigger inheritance, or getting a different inheritance, or even getting an inheritance. I don't know. We're looking at the seventh and eighth house. Okay. So that's for Virgo. And then Libra, this is your sixth, right? Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So Libra, this is your sixth house. This has been really highlighted about you working in your sixth house, you working on your health and well-being, you working in your daily life. This has been really, really highlighted for you. There is some letting go. There is some understanding. There is some healing and some processing going on. But it starts in your relationship house, which is kind of what we've been saying every time I talk about Libra. Your relationships have a lot to do with how you're going to run your health and well-being and your everyday life, right? That's your sixth and seventh house. So there is some renegotiating, redoing, re-understanding, all the re's, right? All the re's are going to be here, and all the re's are going to be here. Okay. Now for Scorpio, this is in, if that's sixth and seventh, this is fifth and sixth, right? So there is this creation that I am just in love with, the fact that y'all get to do this year, because for so long y'all have not been able to, or not given the chance to, and y'all have been working so hard and diligently and very quiet which is interesting because sometimes Scorpios aren't quiet, and you've been very quiet about this. You've just been doing your thing and trying to figure it out, right? And there's a lot of energy here in this creativity house, this romance house, this the fact that you can be responsible and understand that you are much bigger than you thought you were, and you mean more to people than you thought you were, and they have started to show you, right? And destiny's coming in here, right? But the thing is this is where your happiness is. This is where joy is. This is where romance is. This is where like sexual encounters are. This is where your creativity is, right? But you're moving it into your sixth house. Because if you're let me give you an example, Scorpio. If you were the person that always that you're very leery, you can always tell the truth about people, and they've always disappointed you, and so you've become this. I don't want to be jaded, but I have to because of the way the world is. But then this house started to be worked on, and you saw that miracles happen, and you saw that maybe I misjudged some people. Maybe I misjudged this. And then you begin to believe in yourself. I'm just taking you through a little journey here, Scorpio. And then you're like, you know what? People aren't all liars. And some people do want the good for everyone. And I don't owe anybody anything, and I've done enough. And maybe you got some like luck here and there and stuff happening, and it made you happy. And then you realize, hey, I never thought that that would make me happy, but that's made me happy, and I want to do more of that, right? That was you all growing into this house, right? But there is something that you need to let go of. And the reason that I'm excited about this is because you're moving it into your everyday life, your health and well-being. As you're happy, you become healthier. As you create and do what you want in this sixth house, you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's why I love this. But there is some reconfiguring here that's going to be going on. Okay. Now, Sagittarius, this is your fourth and fifth. There's something, Sagittarius, that you had needed to work on, that you needed to understand, that you needed to grow about the deepest part of you, which you don't like to look at, even though it's really, really close to you, right? There was something about forgiving yourself and allowing yourself to be not like your past or your lineage, or accept the way that you are and it not be a bad thing and have some shame around it, or whatever this was, right? It's different for everybody. But as you were believing and understanding and this whole closure, letting go, forgiving yourself, allowing those things, it's going to come into, well, now that I know who I am and I'm okay and I've accepted, right? Because there's going to be some letting go. But as it comes back around, it's incorporating your new self, which was always you. It's just the deepest part of you, the joy, into this house, right? So the fourth and the fifth, where this creates what you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to be, right? Makes sense? All right. And then Capricorn, I am so sorry. I meant to do you first, but at least I didn't forget you this time because I love you. Anyway, Capricorn, this is going to be in your third and fourth. Okay, so in your third house, right now it's going to start in your fourth. This is the inner part of you. You guys have been through it, and you're beginning to rebuild and restructure those things that were in your life, and you're at that point that you're seeing, I do want these things. I didn't really need those things, even though I didn't like them being taken away and the structure being gone and my stability being gone, but I get to rebuild, right? And because this starts in your fourth house, you had to understand what you wanted to rebuild. So who am I? And am I as bad as I think I am? And are people as bad as they think they are? They're your whole inner self, the most deepest part of you is need to be, this is what you've been working on. So as this retrogrades, there is some, ask those questions that I've said at the beginning of the video. because there is some redoing. And there's some redoing because you're going to, when it comes over here, get an understanding and let go and heal and incorporate so that you bring it back over here into your fourth house and really understand your stability, your place in this world, that you matter, right? And when you have that, I mean, a lot of you got everything taken away and you're still here and you're actually smiling and you begin to build something. So your resilience, your prosperity within you, your resources within you, you're making something out of nothing, right? That's what you're healing, letting go, understanding more of yourself. And it comes here into that fourth house, right? And then Aquarius, this is your second house and your third house. Unless you're like me and have to be a little different. And this is your first house and second house. But this is your second house and third house. So this is really being reworked. This is really helping you understand about your value system, what you actually value, that you want to actually value. Because a lot of you Aquarians decided not to participate for a long time. Okay. Now you're coming back and I love it. But there are some letting go and some healing that needs to go on in who you are and what you value. So it's starting here in the value, and then it's going to move to your everyday life, right? So it starts here in your everyday life. Sorry, I said that wrong. It starts here in your everyday life, in your third. You're researching, you're understanding. There's another level you're going to. And I know you don't want to hear that because you've already been through so many levels these last 4 years and you're tired. I understand. But just a little bit longer. In your third house, this needs to be refigured, renegotiated, re-understood, right? There's some letting go when it comes over here, some understanding, those questions that I said to ask yourselves in the beginning. Ask those questions as each of these signs, as Venus comes and talks to each of these signs, but you're going to move it from your value system. So for those of you that are wanting to make money in a certain way or have a business, I'll just say it this way, have a business and you're scared and you don't see the resources, those are going to come through so that you can incorporate it in your everyday life. How about that? Let's say it that way. How about that? That sound better? All right, everybody. I think I got everyone. I did not forget Capricorn. I love you, Capricorn. And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I go into depth with this, these aspects, really deeper depth. I'm working on that right now with in my membership. If you want to consider going deeper, because I'm doing the monthly where I go per sign, right? So it's only $4.99. Hit that join button and join the revolutionaries is what we call ourselves. If not, thank you so much for always liking and sharing. There was a lot of likes and shares last month. I really, really appreciate it as my channel grows again. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.